In the Western Indian Ocean, one unlikely creature can show us a lot about how nature and livelihoods come under pressure in a changing climate: the common reef octopus. For coastal communities in this region, which includes countries such as Madagascar, Mozambique, and Tanzania, octopus fisheries are an important source of income and food security. The region exports millions of dollars worth of octopus each year, primarily to European markets, and it remains an important source of substance in the local markets as well. But octopus fishing is not just an economic story. It's also a gender story. In many parts of the Western Indian Ocean, octopus is one of the few fisheries where women and youth are involved across the entire value chain, from harvesting to processing to local trading. That means the health of coastal ecosystems and the rules that govern them directly shape the incomes and resilience of these groups. And as climate impacts intensify, they are often affected first and recover last, due to limited safety nets and unequal access to resources, training, and decision-making. And today, those ecosystems are under growing pressure. While the region is one of the world's most biodiverse, the coral reefs, seagrass beds, and mangrove forests, which support fisheries and protect shorelines, are being weakened by climate impacts such as ocean warming and acidification, changing weather patterns, and sea level rise. These climate threats compound other pressures on the ecosystems, like overfishing, pollution, and habitat loss, creating cascading risks for coastal communities, where livelihoods, food security, and even physical safety depend on healthy coastal ecosystems. So the question is no longer just whether ecosystems and fisheries can recover. It's whether coastal communities in this exceptionally biodiverse region can adapt fast enough and fairly enough to protect both nature and livelihoods as climate risks accelerate. In a region like this, adaptation can't rely only on concrete and seawalls. It also has to work with the ecosystems people already depend on, making nature-based solutions central to long-term resilience. Mangroves, coral reefs, and seagrass meadows function as both a living shield and an economic engine. They stabilize shorelines, reduce wave energy, and buffer storm impacts, while sustaining fisheries, food security, and tourism. And for many communities, relocation is not a realistic option. Livelihoods are tied to the sea, and moving inland can mean losing income, access to resources, and ways of life built over generations. So one of the most promising pathways is one that rebuilds nature while also building local capacity and long-term resilience, supporting community-led restoration, strengthening the skills and institutions needed to manage coastal resources, and creating more climate-adaptive livelihoods where possible. This is the logic behind the ReSea project, short for Regenerative Seascapes for People, Climate, and Nature, led by IUCN and Mission Inclusion with support from Global Affairs Canada. ReSea works across 5 countries in the region to address this exact challenge: how to strengthen coastal resilience to climate change while also protecting biodiversity and sustaining livelihoods. At the heart of ReSea is a commitment to inclusion and collaboration. Working with local conservation partners and women's rights organizations, it advances gender-responsive, nature-based solutions as a practical adaptation pathway for coastal communities facing sea level rise, intensifying storms, and growing pressure on their marine resources. What sets ReSea apart is that it treats coastal adaptation as more than a technical challenge. Its 3 interconnected pillars combine ecosystem restoration across the seascape with context-specific capacity building, governance, and livelihoods. This locally led and gender-responsive model recognizes that resilience depends on who has power, who has options, and who carries the cost of change. Blue Planet strengthens marine conservation and protection through national advocacy and cooperative community-led governance. Blue Nature scales NBS for adaptation by training local partners and decision-makers, and establishing demonstration sites that act as learning labs. And Blue People supports inclusive economic empowerment by strengthening climate-adaptive value chains that depend on healthy ecosystems. This matters in contexts like the region's octopus fisheries, where women and youth are directly involved. Here, adaptation succeeds or fails depending on whether those most exposed to climate impacts are also empowered to shape decisions and thrive as ecosystems recover. In that sense, ReSea offers a model of regenerative and inclusive adaptation, protecting biodiversity, reducing climate risk, and strengthening local economies at the same time.